Hey everyone, Renfail here. Welcome to the latest edition of Lord of the Rings Online. Is it worth it? Every year I do one of these, usually around the March-April bracket. We're currently at the end of March. I'm recording this actually on March 31st, 2023. This year's edition of Is Lord of the Rings Online Worth Playing? The resounding yes, of course, is the answer, as it is every year, because this is my favorite MMORPG of all time. Even though it's not really an MMO these days, it's more of a single-player RPG that you can play alongside other people and occasionally do group-based content if you want to. But the best part about Lord of the Rings Online is that it doesn't matter which version of Middle-earth you enjoy. Do you like Peter Jackson's films? Awesome. Do you like the books by J.R.R. Tolkien? Even better. No matter which version of Middle-earth you enjoy the most, you're going to find something in this game that's going to appeal to you, and it's going to draw you in, and it's going to let you enjoy and explore and indulge your inner hobbit, elf, dwarf, ent, etc. here within Lord of the Rings Online. Without further ado, however, we actually got to get into this video and talk about all the things that make this game worth playing in 2023. But before we do, if you are new here, prerequisite stuff, get it out of the way. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you never miss an update, and support if you can, please. Drop a super thanks on this video. There's some pre-programmed amounts down below that YouTube has for you, but you can also throw whatever you want at the channel. 20 bucks, 50 bucks, 200 bucks, whatever. There's also memberships. You can do super chats on live streams and premieres. And of course, we have a Patreon page if you want to get involved with my video game, book series, and the tabletop stuff that I have with my wife and my brother. All the links to those things are down below. P.S. There's also a Discord channel if you want to come hang out with us and game with us. In the meantime, let us dive into this video and talk about why Lord of the Rings Online is worth it for you, 2023 edition. So I am standing with the mayor of Delving here in the Shire. And one of the reasons I wanted to start off in the Shire is because I think for me, one of the primary reasons I think Lord of the Rings Online is such an amazing game is because all of the locations that you know from the books or the films, you can go to. You can see, you can touch, you can explore all of them. The entirety of Middle-earth as it is presented in the Lord of the Rings books is here. So if you want to, for example, come explore Hobbiton and see the sights of Delving, you totally can, which is where we're at. So we're going to run down the hill and take a look around. Look at this. Oh, right here, what do we have? Oh, the Bird and Baby Inn, which to those of you who know what the Eagle and the Child is from Oxford, this is a nice little Easter egg for those people. But we can open up the map and explore the entirety of Middle-earth from here. So let's just take a look at how big this game is, because I think it will blow your mind. Because when this game first launched, it was very much just Eriador, which was a certain section of the map, which we're going to show here in a minute. But over time, it grew. They added Moria, they added Mirkwood, they added Fanghorn, Isengard, Rohan, Gondor, Mordor, and so much more beyond. This is a massive, massive game. Everything that you see in the Lord of the Rings books, you can see and explore and go and actually touch in this game. Digitally, of course, but it's all here. So we start off, we're in the Shire, right? Well, what's in the Shire? Well, you've got Delving right down here to the left. We've got Tuckborough, Waymeet, Hobbiton, Bywater, Frogmorton, Woodhall, Stock, and getting over into Breeland, we can then look at the map and say, oh, well, there's Buckland, there's the Old Forest, there's Breetown itself, there's the Midgewater Marshes, there's the Lone Lands. By the way, for those of you who have been following along with my LOTRO tourism series, I've been following the journey of the Fellowship all the way since the beginning. So that is literally me going through and saying, each episode, we're going to go from here to here, here to here, here to here. We're following in the footsteps of the Fellowship as they travel through the books. And that coincides with what I'm doing with the Mondays in Middle-earth show, which is where I've been reading through The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, Return of the King over the past year. We're actually wrapping up the Return of the King right now. Those are every Monday at 9 a.m. Central if you want to tune into those episodes as well. But that's essentially what you can do here, going from, Brelands, you have the Forsaken Inn, there's Weathertop, getting into Oscaroth, the Last Bridge, going into the Troll Shaws, making our way through to the Burning Gorges, up through the Giant Valley to Rivendell, then the Misty Mountains, and so on and so forth. But let's just take a minute and go back to this map, because we're starting off in the Shire with this particular video because I wanted to show you just how big the world is. So here's the Shire map. This is a region within the game. Now I can right click and we're going to come out and we're going to see, oh, there's a whole lot of other regions. We have the Shire, we have Ered Luin, we have Breland, Evendim, Foragkill, North Downs, Angmar, the Etten Wars, the Trollshaws, Cardalon, the Lone Lands, Swanfleet, Enidwaith, Dunland, Nankroner, which is Isengard, of course, Eregion, Rovanion, we have Moria, the Misty Mountains, and that's just this section of the map, which is Eriador. There's also the Yondershire, which is something they added. I think this came with the 15th anniversary last year, if I'm not mistaken. But what about beyond Eriador? Well, let's right-click again, and now we see that this is even bigger, because now we can go into Rohan, for example. Let's click on Rohan for a minute, and we'll go down and see that, oh, Rohan is built into other regions. We have Helm's Deep, Edoras, Isengard. We have Fanghorn Forest. We have all these different areas, South Mirkwood. But let's just click on also these, Gap of Rohan, Stone Deans, Westfold, Kingstand, Broadacres, Intwash Vale, Norcroft, Sutcrofts, Eastfold, the East Wall, to Gondor. Let's just click on, say, the Westfold. And then from within the Westfolds, we have Kingstead, Grimslade, Martin, the Stone Deans, the Fords of Isen. We can go to Helm's Deep and see the Hornburg and the Glittering Caves and all these different places in Helm's Deep. We could go from here and come out and go to Gondor, and we see places like Western Gondor, and we have Morlad, the Blackroot Vale, Lamadon, Edhilon, Dol Amroth, Tol Adulal, I'm going to butcher some of these names, the Havens of Belfalas, to the Cape of Belfalas, Central Gondor. Going over here, we've got Dor in Ernil, Linnair. Over here is Pelargir. So many different places to explore in the world before we ever even get into Mordor itself. This is a massive, did I mention massive? It doesn't even have to be the fact that it's a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, because most of the time the massively just refers to the fact that there's lots of people playing the game together with you. This game literally is massive because they've had a lot of time to add content to it. Now, they wrapped up the actual journey of the Lord of the Rings several years ago. I don't actually remember when the Mordor expansion came out. I want to say it's been out for 4 or 5 years now, and since then they've been digging their way through the appendices and just continually adding new content to the game. A lot of it is you going back and playing through like the ancient history that's in the appendices, and Durin's folk and so on and so forth. So it's sort of appendices content as opposed to anything else. But the journey from the actual journey of the Lord of the Rings, from the Fellowship of the Ring through the Two Towers to the Return of the King, that's all here, all the way to throwing the ring in Mount Doom. So the game fully exists for you to explore at your leisure. So if you're someone who wants to get the most out of the game and you want to see everything that's in the Lord of the Rings books, why are you not playing this game right now? Because that's one of the reasons this game is absolutely worth it. One of the other reasons I continually tell people that the Lord of the Rings Online is one of the best, if not the best, MMORPG on the market is the quality of the writing. Now, it's not fully voiced like a lot of other MMOs are. It doesn't quite have the budget for that. But the one thing they have nailed over the years is the quality of the writing. In fact, some people actually complain that there's too much text in the Lord of the Rings Online. They complain especially about the epic book quest, providing them with novel-length walls of text that you have to read through in order to progress through the story. I'm not one of those people. I do not complain about that. I am always going to be in favor of more. I'm a writer. That's my job. So for me, the written word is always going to be the place where I find the most passion in life. So I hugely appreciate having a lot of good quality text to sink my teeth into. Now, there are going to be different quests and different sort of varying levels of writing that you come across in this game, from things that are like the mission quests to the actual zone quests like the Norcrofts, getting into Western Gondor and the homesteads and so on and so forth. But the epic book quests are the one area that I would like to point out, because when you're doing the zone quests and the quest hubs, you're going to come across a lot of quests that might be what people consider to be fetch quests. Now, they're not quite as bad as, say, they would be in, World of Warcraft, as an example. I tend to find that the writing quality in the Lord of the Rings Online stands up even when you're doing those lowly fetch quests, especially if you're talking about going into a place like the Trollshaws, as an example, where each quest hub sort of has its own little story of what's going on, and they will lead you to the next quest hub because there's a person there that you need to talk to, and it's very well done the way they breadcrumb you to the next location and lead you through. And if you actually take the time to do that, you will come across these sort of hidden quests like the Gollum quest, which those of you who know the one I'm talking about, where you have to go find the White Heart and you're tracking down the beast and you come across Gollum, that quest line is one of those things that you would never come across unless you actually took the time to do quest hub to quest hub to quest hub to quest hub within the Trollshaws, because otherwise you wouldn't know that that quest hub exists. To give you an example, looking at the Trollshaws, where's it at here? Trollshaws. You basically go through here and there's all these quest hubs, and if you follow your way through these quest hubs, they will lead you to a place where you do a quests chain that leads you to this cool little instance that you need to do. But again, it's one of those things where if you didn't explore and you didn't do the quest, you wouldn't know that it exists. And those types of things exist throughout this game, where there's these little sort of hidden moments that are brilliantly written. Sometimes they have little cutscenes associated with them. The one thing I would say, I would love it if there was more voice acting in this game, but unfortunately there's not. But when it comes to the epic book quest, this is where, depending on which expansion you're getting into, Rohan in particular, in the latter parts of Rohan, they started to do more voice acting. So by the time I was getting into Edoras, as an example, and we were dealing with King Theoden. This was last year. I was streaming this last year with my lore master. By the time you're starting to get, dealing with the Ents and Fanghorn, and you're meeting Theoden and Eowyn and Aemmer and everyone else, and you're working through those quest lines, as you're kind of in the Two Towers section of the books, there's a lot more voice acting there. So Theoden is voice acted, and when you're doing these epic quests, which are the book quests, there's more voice acting in those than there are in any of the other ones. And those are usually done in an instance format with a lot of cutscenes and stuff. But the epic book quest in particular is sort of the main storyline that takes you from the beginning of the game all the way to the end, and you're sort of following along in the footsteps of, and sometimes working with, the main characters from the books, like Gandalf and Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli and so on and so forth. And it's presented in such a way where it's huge walls of text. So as an example here, for the section that I'm currently on right now, we're supposed to talk to somebody called Grimstan in Snowbourne, southeast of Aemmer's location in Rohan. We're supposed to ask why Reeve Fastard hasn't followed his command for the people to move across the Emwash for safety. And this is all about Aemmer coming to Snowbourne to see if Reeve Fastard has been obeying his commands to begin preparations to move the people across the Emwash where they could be better defended. This is part of the Rohan content leading up to Helm's Deep. And that storyline and everything that's revolved around there, I mean, it's like reading through chapters of a book. Every time you get to an NPC, there's going to be a huge amount of text that you have to read through, and the little instances that you do have tons of dialogue and content. And for me, that's something I appreciate, because I want to be immersed in the world of Middle-earth, and nothing immerses me more than good quality writing. And I've yet to come across any bad quality writing in this game. There's lots of it, it's good quality, and it's one of the reasons I consistently say that this is probably the number one. This right here is probably the number one reason why I think The Lord of the Rings Online is my favorite MMO of all time. And it's because of the amount of writing and the quality of the writing, and just the amount of good quality story that they're giving me, which very much, this is what makes me laugh when I'm comparing to the Rings of Power and the showrunners making the comment about, we're going to write the novel that Tolkien never wrote, the hubris of that commentary, because literally we have the amazing team at Standing Stone Games who over the years have very much literally written between the lines the novel that Tolkien Neville wrote by creating this amazing epic book line, the book story content for this game. Highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite reasons to play the game. So don't skip the dialogue, ladies and gentlemen. Take your time, read through it. It is AAA. Absolutely AAA content. Now, one of the areas of the game that some people will say it's showing its age is going to be the character models and the way the world looks. And I will admit that the game does look a little dated in some areas, but I would also argue that it still looks pretty damn good, all things considered, when you look at the fact that this is a 16-year-old game. But I do want to just run you down through here. We're in the Shire right now. We're going to go down here and take a look real quick at Hobbiton, and then we're going to boogie out and we're going to go to Rivendell, so you can take a look at Rivendell and some of the other places in the world. I'm also not running on ultra settings. I could turn them up to ultra settings, but for the purposes of the video, to make sure that we get smooth gameplay, I'm not. That is the one area I will say that a lot of people have complaints. Those are legitimate complaints. The performance in this game is not the best. They have a lot of issues with their servers and the optimization of said servers. They have talked about working on that over the years. It's been a work in progress. Sometimes it works great, other times it's not. But you'll often notice that when you're running around, even on high-end machines, you'll get hitching, and that's something that some people have complained about over the years. And I think it is a legitimate complaint. That being said, the game still looks really well, really good, I should say, better English there. And we can run down in here and take a look. You know, here's Hobbiton here, and as we come in here, there's, you know, the Ivy Bush League. To see the hitching that just happened, because it was literally, you'll see everything was loading as I ran in. That's one of those instances of the performance not being what it could be because of the server infrastructure that they have, which they haven't updated over the years. And so literally you'll notice that as I ran in, it hitched and sort of froze for a moment, and then everything in front of me loaded. That is a server issue, not a graphics card issue. That's literally their server saying, oh, he's coming close. It's time to load everything. Let's take a second and load it. And that's an issue that people complain about. So the game does look a little dated in some areas, but it also still looks pretty good. I mean, I would argue that you could look at a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, which has been out for quite a few years now. It even looks dated in some areas. And this game, considering that it's an MMO, it still looks pretty good. I mean, we could take a look here, but let's go to Rivendell real quick and take a look at Rivendell and see what that looks like to look at something else by comparison. We'll do a few little jaunts around here to give you guys a chance to see different parts of the world, because I think that one of the things it has done very well over the years is the landscapes look amazing. Even if the character models aren't the best, even if the graphics are slightly dated over the years, we can come into a place like Rivendell and see the last lonely house and go, you know what, this is pretty, very pretty. You see the moon over there rising up through the trees, the different tree colors and everything else. We can ride down here just a little bit, look down at the mist coming in up over the waterfalls. It doesn't look bad. But let's take a look at a couple of other locations as well. Where else can we go? We can go to Rohan. We're currently in Rohan. We could go. West Angmar's kind of ugly. Evendim's not bad. Esseldine's not bad. I'm trying to see some Oscaroth, Guide to Bree, Thorin's Hall, Nickel Delving. Let's go to Moria real quick. Give you guys a chance to take a look at 21st Hall in Moria, because this is sort of giving you some outdoor, views as well as what it looks like in Moria, because it has a very distinct art style. It's still one of the best underground expansions I've ever seen. It was the first expansion pack that came out for Lord of the Rings Online way back in the day, and it's huge. If you actually play through it as it was intended, which we did with 5 of our friends maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we went through the entirety of the Moria expansion, and we did it all as a fellowship. I mean, it took us 3 months. We were playing 4 nights a week, and it took us 3 months to get through the entirety of Moria. And by the time we got out on the other side, the Dimmerl Dale, it was like, oh my God, sunlight! We can finally see again. So we can take a look here. I mean, looking off in the distance, you'll notice that it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And Moria in and of itself, remember how I was talking about earlier, like the size of everything? So I'm here in the 21st Hall, and that's just, I'm looking west, to Durin's Way, look at how much distance that is right there to go across. And that's literally from here to there. That's that distance right there on the map. So imagine all the way down here to the Flaming Deeps. Imagine how far down that is, right? But then we can spam out and we can go and see, oh my god, we have all of these different zones. There's the Redhorn Lodes, the Flaming Deeps, the Foundations of Stone, which, by the way, I did a video on the Foundations of Stone a while back where you go down and you like find Gandalf's, it's where Gandalf fell with the Balrog, right? So you go down there and you find like a remnant of his, I think it's his hat and maybe his staff. It's been a while since I did that video though. But this place is huge. Moria is massive. But just to, have you take a look at, some of the architecture and things to understand that the game looks really good for its age, with the understanding that there are some performance issues here and there because of the server stuff. Also, really quick before we wrap up with this section, let's go ahead and head out to Rohan so you can get a glimpse of that. I don't have this. Yeah, on this server I don't have anybody that's high enough level, but on the other server I have a character who's in Osgiliath, just outside of Minas Tirith, which looks amazing as well, and it's under attack by the orcs, so it's it's pretty amazing. It's actually quite scary because those orcs are quite deadly. But Rohan has some of my favorite architecture, and in terms of the landscapes, one of the things you'll notice as you get deeper into the game is that the further along you get, the better the game looks because the world builders got better at their job. So here's an example. We are in the Eastnet in the Norcrofts, and the music is amazing, but also just take a look at the architecture and everything here. And this is just a single camp. We can go out here and we have these wide open spaces, these farm fields here. So looking out in any direction, we've got just stuff. And as far as the eye can see, we can ride. Because right now we're down here. But if we look north, I don't even know if we can see Cliving from here because it's so far away. But Rohan is massive. And you could just ride and ride and ride across the landscapes, and it's hard to tell. I'm at nighttime right now. I wish this was during the day when I was recording this video, but it's not, because the way they've done the grass and the flowers and everything else looks really well done during the day here in Rohan. So again, the game looks very well, very good I should say, even though it is a little dated. I think it's fine. It's not a modern game, so I wouldn't expect it to look like something that was produced in the last 3 or 4 years. They have made adjustments over the years to make things look a little better. I think they've done a fairly good job, but if graphics are going to be your hang up, I'm sorry to be you. That's the one thing I would say. But I think it looks fine. Just understand that the performance is an issue even with people who are running 3090s, which I think is or 4090s. I don't even know what's the latest cards right now. So I've already done a video on the character creation process in its entirety, but one of the reasons I wanted to bring you here for the last section of this video is to talk about all of the things that exist in the game as it is today in 2023. Because it was true that for a long time, the Standing Stones games sort of nickel and dimed people with a lot of the things that many people would consider to be necessary components to play the game, even if you were coming into it as a free-to-play individual. But with the 15th year anniversary that came in 2022, they threw everything in the kitchen sink at the free-to-play accounts. So here's what you get with the free-to-play account these days. You can play all of the races that are listed above: the Man, High Elf, Dwarf, Stout Axe, Hobbit, Elf, Bjorning. All of those are available now. There's no longer any paywalls to access any of the premium races. On the class side, everything is available except for the Brawler. The only reason the Brawler is still locked behind a paywall is because it's one of the newest ones. I believe it came out in 2022 or 2021. And since it's because one of the newer ones, they've got that locked behind LOTRO coins. But everything else is available. So you used to have to pay to get access to certain things like the Rune Keeper as an example. But now everything. So you get all the races, all the races, all the classes except for the Brawler, and as of this recording, everything in the game up to Helm's Deep for free. For free! That means you can play everything from level 1 to level 90 the entirety of the game up to Helm's Deep for free before you ever even have to worry about thinking about spending money on this game. Now, beyond that point, you can either buy expansion packs via LOTRO coins, which are the in-store coins that you can buy through real-life currency, but you can also earn coins by playing the game. Or you can choose to go VIP, and as a VIP player as of this recording, the VIP subscription automatically gets you all the way through to the end of Mordor, which is the end of the Return of the King, scenario. So you get the entirety of the rest of the Lord of the Rings books, in essence, from Helm's Deep onward if you go VIP. But level 1 to 90 means that you've got, depends on how you play, but that's, 6 months of content at a minimum, even if you're playing like 3-4 times a week. Like, you would have to play an obscene amount of hours to be able to run out of free content to play in this game. So, if you're someone who wants to get the most value for your buck, you really don't have to worry about that, because you can play level 1 to level 90, all the races of the game and all but one of the classes for free without you ever needing to worry about paying a subscription. And like I said, because you can earn LOTRO points by simply playing the game and completing deeds and everything else, you can actually earn your way through to buying XP, DLC content through gameplay. So it's pretty cool. So at the end of the day, is Lord of the Rings Online worth it in 2023? I absolutely think so, and I highly urge you to just go play it. If you love Middle-earth, if you love Tolkien, you have nothing to lose. This is a great game. There are hundreds, I would argue thousands of hours of entertainment to be had for free, mind you, before you ever even need to worry about spending a dime. But hopefully you will. I've been a VIP subscriber for most of the time I've played this game. I've played it since it came out. I love this game. I love supporting the team. I can't wait to see this game continue to exist for the next, hopefully, 10 years. It's a great game. It's a great way for me to indulge my Middle-earth fantasies. Hopefully I'll be seeing you in here at some point as well. If you got to the end and you liked this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. And please support if you can. Drop a super thanks on this video. It's a one-off donation. There's some pre-programmed amounts down there that YouTube lets you choose from, but you can also program in your own. There's memberships here on YouTube, 3 different tiers starting at $3 a month, and you can choose your amount. We do some cool, fun, private videos and polls and stuff for our members. There's also super chats and stickers on live streams and premieres, and we have a Patreon page if you want to get involved with the game dev stuff that I do with my wife and my brother. We have a tabletop game, point-and-click adventure game, and a fantasy book series called The Weave in the Void, and it's all over there at our Patreon. And we have a Discord if you want to come hang out with us and game with us in games like Lord of the Rings Online, Star Wars: The Old Republic, Valheim, whatever else we're playing at any given time. So until then, stay safe, everybody. Happy gaming. See you in the next one.